Welcome to Drafting Out Loud, where today we're looking at the DraftKings market movers. On today's episode, we're going to identify some risers that we need to get ahead of the market on. We're going to look at some fallers and see if there's any that we kind of like a little bit. And then we're going to look at the values, and we're going to identify that the values actually kind of make sense for like the first time ever on DraftKings. Let's get into it. First off, we're going to look at our risers, and there are some risers here we need to be aware of. Now, we've talked about Rasheed Rice over and over again, and he's still rising. It's like he had kind of stalled out, but apparently that's not the case. Still rising up. But there are a number of risers here that I think you need to be aware of just because they are a little bit of a value now. I don't know how much longer they're going to stay a value. And we also should be aware of the situations changing in some of these places as well, as far as the free agents go, too. There are a lot of wide receiver free agents out there, and a lot of these places could change pretty darn quickly depending on what happens. So who do we want to look at that are risers? There's a bunch of wide receivers first off. Antonio Williams, Chris Bell, Trey Tucker. They're all kind of going around the same place, 170 and then 185, 189. There's also Jermaine, what's his face? Not Jermaine, Jeremy Bernard, uh, also who is in this range as well. And he's not rising up. The last one's not rising up as much. In fact, I think he might be falling a little bit. But I'm intrigued in all those rookies there that are going a little late in the drafts. And I think they all have good landing spots. I'm trying to get like one of them basically in a lot of my drafts, assuming I still need a wide receiver around that time. Maybe one correlates better based on division, or maybe I have really weak wide receivers up top. Like I didn't draft any really early. So I want like the hardcore upside of a Chris Bell maybe and just get a lot of quantity early on or like later on, and then hope that Chris Bell can explode at the end of the season type of thing. So, pick your poison or whatever, or, pick the one that's going to lead you to the promised land. But Antonio Williams, Chris Bell, Trey Tucker is a lot of hype on him. I don't know how I feel about that, but a lot of hype on him as well. Dazon Stribling as well right here. If you got a San Francisco team or, some kind of bring back, that's also one that you can throw in there. He got a lot of draft capital. He got a lot of negative talk from the not the financial, sorry, the fantasy community. But apparently he's got a little bit more in the tank than what the fantasy community thinks. The NFL thinks he's got a lot going on. So he might be able to see the field a lot. And I don't mind actually pairing up Stribling and Kirk together, especially if you need, again, wide receivers. If you get that third wide receiver and he actually means something on the team, I think that's of some value there. And I'll take two stabs at it late in the draft if I need wide receivers. Thank you very much. So if you can get one of those wide receivers at your drafts right now, because they're all going up still, they don't seem to be slowing down at all. I think it makes sense. I don't know how much more room they have to go up, but I want to get them before they go up more. Also on this list, we got a couple running backs. We got Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez, and Jonathan Brooks. And they're all rising, 1.96, 2.23 in the last 2 days, and then 1.32. Surprised Jonathan Brooks isn't higher in the last 2 days. I just see Jonathan Brooks get overdrafted in every draft. And I don't think you want zero of these players. And so I think you want to get them now before they get priced up even more. That way you don't feel like you got to get them in the 110s or the 109s, like the below one sub 110. You can get them here in the 120s and 130s. And so if you need running backs, I think these are players you want to target, get on your team. Um, I I think that as they get more expensive, of course they got a lot of risk, and that risk just feels like it's not worth it versus the reward. Especially someone like a Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt or maybe even a Chris Rodriguez. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt's in potentially in a three-headed monster. He doesn't catch passes, and he might lose part of that role to a rookie that he does have right now. Chris Rodriguez also doesn't catch passes and is part of a three-headed monster. And you don't know how much the coach truly likes him or not, because a lot of his ADP is based on if the coach likes him or not. And then last but not least, we got Jonathan Brooks. Uh, Apparently super athletic, right? With two torn ACLs. So who knows if he can get on the field and actually make it happen or not. Probably the most exciting of the three of them, Jonathan Brooks. And in some ways, maybe the riskiest in that ability is, or availability is the best ability, and he's the one that doesn't have that one, it seems like. So there you go. Players you should probably be targeting right now before they get more expensive. Antonio Williams, Chris Bell, Corey Cross-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez, Dazon Stribling, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Tucker, and there's a lot of buzz actually on Quentin Johnson as well. So, if you're in this 100 range, maybe look at him too, as he seems to be rising here. Fallers, all the Cardinals are falling, and one of them I think is intriguing. And Trey McBride, I think you gotta put someone like that on your team every once in a while. But the one that I think is intriguing here is Jeremiah Love. He's now in the third round. He was in the third round on underdog, and he got pushed into the second, but he's fallen into the third on DraftKings. And this one doesn't make a lot of sense, right? He's a pass catcher, so you got to think that at on DraftKings he should be more expensive, but he's down in the third round again on DraftKings. So I think he's one you got to keep an eye on and take sometimes. Be careful with Trey Harris. You got to listen to the news. Apparently, there's a rookie that Mike McDonald really likes. Christian Kirk is falling, so you can get like the Stribling Kirk thing, like we were talking about. And the other one that I'm intrigued in is Baishal Tutin because he's falling, and again, he's a pass catcher too. Now, of course, he's got his own riskiness, right? Like we have on the risers Chris Rodriguez and the fallers Baishal Tutin. But Baishal Tutin's the pass catcher. So assuming he gets that pass catching role, I think he's someone that you want a part of. That being said, there is another third down back potentially on the team as well. So there might be some argument of how much of that pass catching role he has. So as he gets cheaper, I think he becomes more intriguing of a bet. So Jeremiah Love, Baishal Tutin, and maybe Christian Kirk, if you're doing a San Francisco thing, are the ones that I am most intrigued with. Tyler Algier at 154. It's at some point in time that's got to be a good price, and I think he's starting to get there actually at 154. That's what he was when he was on Atlanta on 150s. And now here are your values, and things are starting to make sense when it comes to the values. We got Derrick Henry, who's cheaper on DraftKings. He's not a pass catcher. So this is like the first time I've seen this. Derrick Henry always seems to go way earlier on DraftKings. He's not now. I think you got to mix him in, right? Like it just, you don't like it, but I think you got to mix him in a little bit. We have Mike Evans. He's more of a touchdown, more of a touchdown guy, not a PPR guy. So it makes sense that he's a little bit cheaper on DraftKings versus underdog. And then you have here Chris Rodriguez, cheaper. Like we said, he's not a pass catcher. So I think things are. David Montgomery finally flipped. He is now cheaper on DraftKings versus underdog. Didn't think it was going to happen, but it happened. Both these prices seem rich, but they make sense as far as where they're at now. So things are starting to make sense on DraftKings finally. Jordan Addison, Lad McConkey. There's some questions on. I think they're both nice picks when you start getting this deep into things. I like Jordan Addison here at 90. Lad McConkey. I don't know if I like him as much, but I think you got to like him. So I think that's probably just a bias that I shouldn't have really when it comes to Lad McConkey. But these are nice prices as well on the DraftKings platform. They might spread things around a lot in on the Chargers, and then who knows what Kyler Murray can do in Minnesota. So it makes sense that maybe they're a little bit cheaper on DraftKings in some respects. The two that don't make any sense are the two we've been talking about forever, Trevion Henderson and Breece Hall. They're still on here. Up until they release the schedule, I think it's fun to get the two of them together because they have a better chance at a bring back. So I think there is a way to get some pretty exciting teams right now on DraftKings. And I'll be heading out there soon to get in a draft. See you out there. Peace.